Hello, I'm Cupin. You are watching Rappler, and I am here at the Batasang Pambansa complex where a few hours ago, President Ferdinand Marcos delivered his second State of the Nation address. Now, we started the day 12 hours ago, or 11 hours ago actually, asking this question: what is Bagong Pilipinas? Again, ito yung bagong campaign ng Marcos administration. It turns out, based on the SONA that was delivered before the members of Congress, that the past 12 months were the new Philippines that President Marcos promised. It was a speech that ran for around an hour and 10 minutes. It was a progress report, as Marcos had promised to the Filipino people, during which he brought out numbers without visuals. I may add, he boasted of economic numbers including growth, employment, including inflation, which actually peaked in the earlier part of 2023, but has slowly been tapering down in the recent months. Of course, this is informed not just by the administration or the president's own priorities, but by the sentiments of the Filipino people. Latest surveys from Pulse Asia indicate that inflation remains a top concern of Filipinos. The majority of Filipinos surveyed, 63% in the latest survey. At the same time, around 20+% say that hindi pa enough yung ginagawa ng Marcos administration to curb this. Perhaps it's also exemplified by a line that the president said on matters of the economy: there are many things over which we have no control. He has said this in the last SONA, citing things such as Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the difficulties in the supply chain all around the global economy. But he said, but of those that we do have control, we are doing everything that we can. And perhaps this line sets the tone for the rest of the speech that he delivered before the 19th Congress. Now, of course, President Marcos cannot not touch on food security and agriculture because he is the concurrent agriculture secretary. So I think one thing that we want to highlight here is his promise to expand Kadiwa nationwide, to expand it to more LGUs, more towns, more areas in the country. This is interesting only because in December 2022, when we asked him about Kadiwa, like we asked him during a chance interview, like, how would you ensure its sustainability? He said that the long-term goal was to bring market prices down to the level of Kadiwa. Again, Kadiwa is this program, DA-led, Agriculture Department-led, wherein basically you connect the producers, the farmers, straight to the consumers. Now, he said that the vision was to bring market prices down low enough to Kadiwa levels in the prevailing market, so much so that the Kadiwa program becomes redundant and unnecessary. But there has apparently been a shift. Slowly, Kadiwa has been expanding across the country. And as mentioned in the SONA, there are plans of expanding that further. He made few bold statements during his SONA. It wasn't a very bombastic speech at all. Isa doon yung sinabi niya na bilang na daw mga araw na mga nagsasmuggle at nagko-hoard ng agriculture products. Earlier, a few weeks, months ago, the president ordered the DOJ to conduct a probe, citing the investigation of the House of Representatives, actually. Of course, as expected, the president highlighted key legislation that he pushed for during his first year as president. Isa na doon yung Agrarian Emancipation Act, which was signed just a few weeks ago. But also the Maharlika bill, which interestingly enough was not even mentioned in the SONA last year. This was introduced in late 2022. It sped by the House. It kind of lingered in the Senate for a bit, but then sped by right before session suspended. So between a few weeks basically in the House and a few weeks in the Senate, pumasa itong controversial na Maharlika Investment Fund. Again, the president defended the fund. Hindi na siya proposal, it's already a law. He defended the fund by saying that safeguards are in place to ensure not only that corruption doesn't happen, but that it is not politicized. He's actually said that before, that's nothing new. But during his SONA, he also called out the National Grid Corporation for its failure to deliver, highlighting that a performance review is in place. This was actually already ordered a few months back. So another contentious thing that he mentioned during the SONA is the proposed revision or reform of the MUP, or the Military and Uniform Personnel Pension. Again, this is nothing new. The president has said something like this before, that this is necessary, but that he also promised our soldiers and police and uniformed personnel that they will not be left hanging, basically, by this proposal. Other things that he mentioned, of course, education access. This is a cornerstone of his policy, even when he was a 2022 candidate with fairly vague promises. Education had always been a priority of Bongbong Marcos. He also made an appeal for vaccinations. Now, again, going back to the line that I highlighted earlier regarding, like he said na basically maraming mga bagay na hindi makokontrol ng administration, pero sa mga bagay na makokontrol nila, they will do the best they can. I guess this speaks a lot about the tone that Marcos wants to take in his second year as president. He equates investments and economic development with stability. Parang yun yung overlying theme of this speech in a way. Parang he kept on emphasizing the predictability, the stability of his administration. It was very interesting, one of the reactions to the speech from a key ally, actually, Representative Recto's deputy speaker. He said in so many words that this was a speech written not to elicit applause, but it was a very straightforward speech, and I think it showed in the 1 hour or so. Again, no visuals at all, no bombastic statements save for one or two. And he said this before in his many trips abroad, no, na parang we need to have a stable set of laws, of rules. So yung rule of law with regards to business, with regards to investments, he's emphasized this in the past. He also said kanina yung foreign employment should be driven by choice and not by a lack thereof. But this is quite interesting because as Marcos goes around the world, parang parati niyang hina-highlight, no, yung parang yung skill of the Filipino worker, and in a way, labor export is very much, not just in a way, labor export is very much still a key component in the Marcos administration. He mentioned also earlier kanina yung decarbonization goals that the Philippines pledges to comply with that. He has been invited to attend COP28 or yung gathering ng different countries to discuss climate change. That's in Saudi Arabia. He hasn't committed yet, but he has been invited. He also spoke about the new phase of the war on drugs. He's promised this before, that it will be a more rehabilitative take on quashing the drug problem in the Philippines. Although I believe if you check Rappler.com, there is data not that fact checks that or shows that killings still continue under President Marcos Jr. Another highlight was he promised amnesty to rebel returnees. That also elicited applause from the gallery. So again, yung unang tanong natin kaninang umaga, no, nung bungad ng coverage natin today, ano ba itong bagong Pilipinas ni Ferdinand Marcos Jr.? Like I said, the SONA isn't just a status report, as the president says. It's not just him appealing to Congress to pass these key bills that I want to support my agenda, but it's also him projecting an image that he wants to the world. So what kind of image do we see him projecting through this SONA? Again, predictable, grounded, without need for applause. Siguro tied in rin dito yung concerns or yung overarching narrative of President Marcos Jr. Rehabilitating the Marcos name. This has also been something that both critics and supporters have pointed out in the past as well. But interestingly enough, there was no explicit mention of his father, unlike in the past SONA where he harkened back several times to those days of the dictator Marcos Sr. So ultimately, if you think about it, the president is not, tama naman, the president is not measured by standing ovations or the amount of applause, the number of times a gallery of his allies in Congress, the number of times his allies in Congress react to his SONA speech, or SONA, because what really matters here is how the ordinary Filipino perceives him. So in this case, with this speech, and more importantly, the legislation that he intends to push and the policies he intends to implement in his second year of office, will that earn the applause of the 110 million or so that he now governs? Keep it on Rappler for more updates, not just on the SONA, but also on the Marcos administration. Tomorrow, actually, he flies to Malaysia for a state visit, so tune in to Rappler for updates on that. Our SONA coverage is not quite over yet because we are still continuing to do analysis, fact checks, and give you insights, not just on the speech, but on the policies that the President is proposing. Again, this has been Bea Cupin. You have been watching Rappler. Thank you for joining us on this very, very long day at the Batasang Pambansa Complex. Good night.